Now, before we actually hop into the first game, we do have a couple things to go over. The first one being the 2021 first-year player draft. We had the 13th overall pick this year, and with that 13th overall pick, there was a couple guys who I thought about taking before we ended up settling on who we actually took. There was a couple pitchers. There was right-handed pitcher Ed Kahn from Germany. There was a couple lefties in Geraldo Gallego, and then also Michael Presley. Then there was also an outfielder named Roger Wagner, who I thought was a pretty good guy, a pretty good prospect. He had really good hitting across the board, but he just didn't seem like he was ever going to be a fielder, and I didn't want a guy who was going to be a complete liability in the field. So I decided to go with what I thought was the best option available, which was another outfielder, which we do have a lot of outfielders in the system now, but I mean, you can always trade one of them because you're drafting assets more than you're drafting players. You take the best available, so I thought Derek Kloboff was the best available 18-year-old outfielder. In the second round, we took a left-handed pitcher, Bart Britton. In the third round, we took Sergio Lima, a right-handed pitcher. In the fourth round, we took a catcher named Ryan Hacker. And then in the fifth round, we took an outfielder in George Figueroa. I will be changing his name to Jorge because it just makes sense he would be named Jorge and not George. And then in the sixth round, we took Mariano Rodriguez, a left-handed pitcher, in the last round of the draft. We also made some roster moves, as the first one we made was Shane Peterson was called up to the big leagues. He was absolutely lighting the world on fire down in the Pacific Coast League, so we decided to give him a shot up in the bigs, and so far over 7 ABs, he's been performing quite well, but it is only 7 at-bats, so not really telling of much. But in order to make room in the roster, we sent down Gilberto Fuentes. He'll be down in AAA for now. He'll be back at some point this season. It's not the last you're ever seeing of Gilberto Fuentes, obviously. We just wanted to give Shane Peterson a shot since he was raking so much in AAA. And he's 33, so he's not getting any younger. We also called up Ray Black to be a part of the Major League bullpen, so he'll be on the staff now. And Felix Pena was the one who got sent down to make room on the roster. He was not having the greatest year, plus he had all 3 of his options left, so I figured, hey, just go down to AAA and chill down there for a while. He might be back, he might not. It depends on what happens. The Giants here in San Fran playing host to the New York Yankees, who as usual are having an absurd season, sitting at 40-17. They'll be sending out the right-hander Zach Wheeler, making his 12th start of the season, and opposing him for the Giants will be their ace in Derek Rodriguez, having a great year. And then take a look at the Giants lineup 1-9, as well as the Yankees star-studded lineup. We'll start things off top half of the second inning as D-Rod was cruising early on, strikes out Gary Sanchez on a curveball, and then for the third out of the inning also gets Giancarlo Stanton to look silly on the curveball. Onto the top half of the fourth now, Miguel Andujar dribbles one up the third baseline. D-Rod's going to make the play himself, so he throws out Andujar at first base. And then for the third out of the inning, Aaron Judge would go down on the nasty curveball that D-Rod has working on the day. Top of the fifth, back to the curveball. Gary Sanchez chases that one for strike 3. And then to get out of the inning, D-Rod would strike out Didi on a cut fastball that just nicks the black. We move on to the bottom half of the fifth, where Wheeler was pitching well as well, but did not last as long as D-Rod's day, as Wheeler gives up a long home run to Tetsuto Yamada here, a no-doubt shot. His 10th of the season makes it a 1-0 Giants lead. Next batter up in the inning was Shane Peterson, recently called up from AAA, is going to hit a ball into the left field corner. That'll get down fair for an easy double for Shane Peterson, so he's on second base. After the next batter struck out, D-Rod would lay down a bunt, and Andujar does make the play, but the runner moves up to third, so it's runner on third with 2 outs, but Robbie Grossman not be able to drive him in as he flares one off the end of his bat for the third out. On to the top of the seventh now, Rodriguez still on the hill, but he walks Aaron Judge, and that would be the end of his day. The recently called up Ray Black comes on to face the heart of the Yankees order, throwing him right into the fire. He would get Gary Sanchez to pop up sky high into left field for the first out as Judge retreats back to first base, but then Luke Voigt would bloop a pitch into left center field. Judge goes first to third on this one, as the throw from Altair was not in time, so runners on the corners, 1 out. Giancarlo Stanton hits a line drive that Ryan Schimpf snags out of the air with his cat-like reflexes over on the hot corner, and then Didi almost gets locked up on a fastball on the black, but he draws a walk. Keston Hiura then comes on to pinch hit with the bases loaded, and he would go and swing right through a 100-mile-an-hour fastball as Black gets out of the jam. Zach Britton then comes on for the bottom half of the 7th, facing Shane Peterson against the lefty. Not his normal situation, but he does make the best out of it, and he draws a walk. So he'll take his base. After that, Brandon Crawford gonna hit a ball opposite way that just keeps carrying. It's gonna get over the glove of Giancarlo Stanton and bounce up over the wall for a ground rule double. Crawford teleports to second base, so it's second and third with 1 out. Elliot Ramos then comes on to pinch hit. He would fly out to deep left field. It would be enough to have the runners tag up, or one of them tag up. Peterson scores. Crawford's gunned down in the back end of the play, but Peterson does score, so it's a 2-0 lead. Trevor Gott comes out in the 8th inning, and he would proceed to have a good inning. For the 2nd out, he gets Aaron Hicks locked up on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and then for the 3rd out, he would lock up Andujar on a curveball. So 2-0 lead. Take that into the bottom of the 8th, where Jonathan Holder comes on looking to hold that 2-0 lead, and he does not do the greatest job of that, as Robbie Grossman, leading things off in the inning, hits a ball into the right center field gap. He's going to try to go to 3 with it, but Aaron Judge throws it into the relay man and then onto third base from the relay. Guns down Grossman trying to stretch it, but then the Giants weren't done. Buster Posey should have been an easy ground ball to Andujar, but Miguel Andujar is Miguel Andujar. Whips it over the head of Luke Voigt at first base. That's an error, so Posey is on first. After that, Jock Peterson hits a ball, first pitch swinging, just keeps carrying and carrying and carrying until it grazes that center field fence. A 2-run shot off the bat of Jock Peterson makes it a 4-0 Giants lead. Reyes Moranta then came on for the top of the 9th, and he would get himself into a bit of a jam, but he does strike out Didi on the 98-mile-an-hour up-and-in cheese as the Giants shut down the Yankees' order as they shut them out. 4-0 win for the Giants in this one. A huge day on the mound for Derek Rodriguez. He went 6 innings strong, only allowed 2 hits, and struck out 7 batters. Jock Peterson had the 2-run shot. Yamada had a solo shot. Shane Peterson was 2 for 2 on the day with a walk as well. He continues to hit at the major league level in this 4-0 win for the Giants over the Bronx Bombers. And before we actually hop into the next game, we have a trade to go over, as Carter Capps and Jacoby Jones have been sent to the New York Yankees in a June trade, and in return we will be receiving relievers Chaz Rowe and Tommy Kahnle. Both Rowe and Kahnle were rotting away in AAA in Scranton Wilkes-Barre for the Yankees. Chaz Rowe had a great year in 2020 for the Yankees, and then Tommy Kahnle has been in AAA for the past 2 seasons, has not pitched in the big league since 2019 because the Yankees just have an OP bullpen. And Carter Capps is just in the deal, sort of like a swap for a reliever, and then Jacoby Jones is in it because we have too many outfielders at the AAA level, and they have very weak outfield depth aside from that big 3 of Judge, Stanton, and Hicks. Their 4th, 5th, and 6th outfielders are all very not ideal players, so Jacoby Jones will help out with that. And then in order to make room for Rowe and Kahnle on the roster, Stuart Fairchild and Tyler Lyons were sent down to AAA. Tyler Lyons not having the greatest year, plus he has plenty of options to spare, so he was sent down to AAA. He'll probably be back at some point this season as he is a lefty. Hopefully he can figure things out in AAA, then come back up. It's also worth mentioning that Buster Posey currently leads the National League in both batting average and OBP. He's having a great year for the Giants, and then Derek Rodriguez is 4th in earned run average among National League pitchers. Giants on the road now as they're headed down to Florida to take on the Miami Marlins, who are sitting at a pitiful 24-41 on the season, but they are looking fresh in those throwback teal unis. Caleb Smith, the lefty, getting the nod for the Marlins, and opposing him will be the veteran Johnny Cueto, who is having a great 2021 campaign. Take a look at the Giants lineup 1-9, and then of course the Marlins lineup 1-9 as well. We'll start things off bottom half of the first inning as Rosel Herrera is going to bloop ball into right field for a base knock, so he's on first base. Next batter up is Brian Anderson, 0-2 count. Little jam shot that Buster Posey will handle as he catches that on the fly. Herrera is still at first base, and then Gabby Guerrero grounds out to Barreto, playing second base on the day as he makes the play. Bottom half of the second inning now, as Cueto strikes out Ozuna for the second out, and then for the third out, he would get Diaz to ground out to second base. We move things on to the top half of the third inning, where the catcher, Joey Bart, on the day, going up the gut for the base knock, so he's on first base. After that, it is Johnny Cueto with one out. He's going to try to lay down a bunt, move over Bart, and they try to turn two and end up getting nobody. Everybody is safe, first and second, one out. Robbie Grossman then hits a ball down the right field line that'll get into the corner. Bart is going to score from second base. Cueto moves up into third. So it's second and third, now a 1-0 lead for the Giants. Buster Posey then hits a long fly ball in left field. It would be deep enough to tag up both runners. So it's now a 2-0 lead for the Giants. And then Aaron Altair comes up with a runner on third, chops the ball through the right side of the infield. It's now a 3-0 Giants lead. Move things on to the bottom half of the third inning. Derek Fisher is going to go opposite way for a base knock. That's a single for the Marlins. Their second hit of the game, but it would be immediately gotten rid of as just some great strategy by the Marlins to lay down a bunt and bunt into a double play. Just brilliant strategy there added by the National League. Beautiful game. So then he closes off the bottom of the third inning by striking out Ronald Butler. We'll check back in on Cueto next inning. As to start off to end the top of the fourth, I should say, Franklin Barreto hits a opposite field home run going Oppo Taco. 4-0 lead for the Giants. And now Johnny Cueto just goes on a run of slicing up and dicing up the Marlins. Rosel Herrera goes down swinging. After that, it's Brian Anderson chasing the changeup on the down and away corner for the second out. After that, it's Gabby Guerrero chasing a slider, strikes out the side. Onto the bottom half of the fifth. It is Jorge Alfaro. He's chasing a slider for the first out of the inning. After that, it brings up Jose Ozuna. He swings through a two-seamer on the hands. And then for the third out, it would be Diaz, who is locked up on a backdoor slider. Cueto strikes at the side yet again. And then he would start off the sixth inning by striking out Derek Fisher. That is 8 straight strikeouts for Johnny Cueto. He had a fantastic day on the hill. Trevor Rogers then comes in for the top half of the seventh, and Cueto, still in the game, is going to actually contribute to his own cause here. Here's a bloop single into right field. So Cueto on first base, then Robbie Grossman would hit a line drive into center field that lands in front of the center fielder, so first and second, nobody out for Buster Posey. Pitch gets away from Alfaro. That's going to move the runners up to second and third. Nobody out still. Posey at the dish hits a ball that's going to get to the shallow outfield, but the second baseman ranges back to get it, so they're going to send Cueto from third base, send it all, and he is able to score because the throw is offline, so it's a 5-0 lead. Then in the top half of the eighth, it would be Elliot Ramos hitting a ball down the left field line. He's going to hustle it out into second base for a double. He slides into that bag, so he's on second base. Then Franklin Barreto at the plate. Pitch gets away from Alfaro. Ramos moves up to third, and then Barreto would poke one over the head of the second baseman for a base knock, drives on a run, and the Giants take a 6-0 lead. Bottom of the ninth, Cueto still on the hill. Austin Dean came on to pinch hit, hits a bloop single over the glove of Yamada. Then with a runner on first, Ronald Butler comes to the plate, hits a dribbler up the first baseline, and Buster Posey with a behind-the-back flip to the covering Cueto at first base. Taking a look at this one. Just a casual, nonchalant behind-the-back flip. Very nice play by the sure-handed Posey. And then it would be Rosel Herrera grounding out to Barreto playing shortstop on the day, who fires a strike over to first base as Johnny Cueto gets a complete game shutout in this one as the Giants completely manhandle the Miami Marlins in this one, 6-0. Cueto, of course, gets player of the game honors. He went 9 innings, obviously, a complete game shutout, struck out 9 batters, did not walk anyone, only gave up 3 hits. On the offensive side of things, you had Franklin Barreto, who was 2 for 4 with a home run, drove in 2 runs. Robbie Grossman was 2 for 5. Buster Posey, 2 for 4. He also had 2 sac flies. And then Elliot Ramos was 2 for 5 on the day as well. Now let's head back to California to take on the San Diego Padres at Petco Park, and it's a special game because Johnny Cueto is getting the start again, and he is going for a 3rd straight complete game. It's his next start after the Marlins game. He pitched a complete game shutout over the Rockies. He'll be faced by Matt Strahm, who unfortunately does not have his long hair in this game. Giants line up 1-9, and then you've got the Padres line up 1-9 as well. We'll start things off bottom half of the second inning. Hunter Renfroe is going to strike out swinging on a slider that he whiffs right through. Next batter up would be Eric Hosmer. Dribbles one up the middle. That would get into the outfield for a base knock. So Hosmer on first base brings up Tatis Jr. The hit and run is on. Tatis cannot make contact, so Hosmer is dead meat at second base. And then Tatis would just proceed to ground out the shortstop. As it's still scoreless, we move on to the bottom half of the third now, where Cueto's going to get himself into a bit of a jam here with one out. Gives up a ball into the gap by Francisco Mejia. That's going to be an easy double for the Padres. So runner on second in scoring position with one out. Matt Strahm, the pitcher, comes up to the plate, softly grinds one over to second, moves the runner over to third. Now with two outs, brings up Franmil Reyes, or I should say Andy Allegri, as he grinds at the second, and no runs come in. Cueto gets out of the jam. Onto the top of the fourth now, Aaron Altair is going to go opposite way for a base knock, so he's on first. Then Ryan Schimpf draws himself a walk, so first and second, one out. Elliot Ramos then could not pull the trigger on an up-and-in fastball. He goes down looking, and then Joey Bart whiffs through a changeup. He also strikes out. Nobody comes in to score. Strahm gets out of the jam. And then in the bottom of the fourth, things started to happen. Urias hits a bloop single into right field. He's on first base. And then Manny Machado hits a line drive, hard hit, but it's going to be right at Ramos in right field. So runner on first, one out. Hunter Renfroe gets a two-seamer that does not get in on the hands, stays over the plate, and he makes Cueto pay. He will not be getting a third complete game shutout in 3 straight starts as he gives up a 2-run shot to Renfroe. Move things on to the top of the sixth now, where Robbie Grossman draws a walk. And then Ryan Schimpf with a full count gets a pitch on the hands, fights it off, and he's so strong that he sends it over that center field fence. A 2-run shot of their own as the Giants tie this game up at 2, and that would end the day for Matt Strahm. But we will check in on Cueto as he strikes out Urias. Next batter up is Manny Machado. He's also going down swinging. And then you guessed it, the third batter of the inning, Hunter Renfroe. He's going down swinging as well. Cueto strikes out the side, keeps the game at 2-2. Jacob Nix comes on for the Padres. In the top of the seventh, he would give up a no-doubt shot from Brandon Crawford. Gives the Giants their first lead of the game. It's now a 3-2 lead for San Fran. As we move on to the bottom half of the seventh, Johnny Cueto gets a foul ball off the bat of Hosmer there, and he would actually hurt himself on the play. So Tommy Kahnle comes in to replace him and get through the inning. He would just throw one pitch to Hosmer, gets him on the nasty changeup that he has. After that, it would be Tatis who goes down on the changeup as well. And then after that, it would be Will Myers who dribbles one up the third baseline. Kahnle's going to make the play himself. A 1-2-3 inning. And Coda Glover will then come on for the Padres in the top half of the eighth. Facing Robbie Grossman to lead things off, hits a ground ball at the second base. Urias fields, throws the first, pulls. The throw pulls Hosmer off the bag, so Grossman's on first. Then Buster Posey would smack a ball into right center field, gets past the diving right fielder who tumbled trying to field it. So Grossman scores from first base, and Buster Posey's going to go into third as the throw gets away from the third baseman Machado. So it's now a 4-2 game, and still in the top half of the eighth, Aaron Altair then draws a walk. He would then proceed to swipe second base, eliminating the double play possibility, but then they would just immediately intentionally walk Ryan Schimpf. So it's bases loaded now for the pinch hitter in Jock Peterson, who did not get the start against the lefty Strahm, but comes in to face the righty Coda Glover, does not waste any time. First pitch swinging, a monster shot, no doubt, grand slam off the bat of Jock Peterson, and the Padres have just lost this game in one inning as the Giants now have an 8-2 lead. Ray Black came on in the ninth, gets himself into a bit of a jam, but he would then get Mejia to pop up in the foul territory as the Giants do win this one 8-2 over the San Diego Padres. No complete game shutout for Johnny Cueto, but he did pitch a solid game nonetheless. It also is worth mentioning that he will be fine. He only had back stiffness, so he is going to be making his next scheduled start with no issues. Jock Peterson does get Player of the Game honors for his pinch hit grand slam in the 8th inning. Ryan Schimpf 1 for 3 with a 2-run shot, and then also Brandon Crawford 2 for 4 with his solo shot for the Giants to take the lead in the 7th inning, and they did not lose it from there on out. And with that being said, that is going to wrap things up here for this edition of the San Francisco Giants franchise. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying, tonight is Denzel Curry night.